of love
Like the wish.
with Joy Wilson.
Hello, dear friends, and welcome to another episode of Life of Love, where we gather every week and we cherish messages of living true to your heart, whatever it means that day, whatever it means in that moment, bringing forth your life to the highest expression, even on the hard days and easy days. We take them as they come. And today is a really special opportunity to connect with this dear soul. He has been sharing some wonderful things with me in the pre-interview, and I'm just really delighted to introduce him. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in again and for sharing these episodes. It means so much. And, when something's sparked in you and you share it, you continue the grid of sparking and paying it forward. So I'm just honored to be part of the loop and be with everyone who's in the spiritual journey or even just curious. We're here to help. So, gosh, Marcus Aurelius Higgs is our guest this week, and he's a beacon of human relationships and growth, and he's had a long career of being helpful and showing up. So he's known as a heroic life coach. I know it's uncomfortable to talk about someone when they're looking right at you.
I'm just remembering this stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, no, that is me. Thank you. It's
you.
affirming my identity that I put out there, and it's like live into it. So
Right. Yes.
be
And so
present.
you've been working with preteens and helping them transform their lives through personal growth and strengthening family connections and just really great stuff about how you can learn to be a better human through your relationships. So I was really excited to bring forth your message, and I welcome you with open arms to Life of Love. I can't think of a better topic.
Truly, thank you. Thank you for sharing your platform, for sharing your smile, for sharing your spirit before this call. Even during the back and forth emails. Thank you for the elements of your personality there. We had our silly
Yes.
puns in there. Yeah,
Yes, we had some fun puns. We were
for sure,
sharing.
for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had to I had to move our appointment up, and he graciously said yes. And it was like, yeah, I have a dentist appointment, and it's at 2:30. And I have to laugh because he said, well, there's a pun in there, 2:30. And I was like, ooh, that is next level.
How many times do you have a dentist appointment and then 2:30 in there? I was like, oh man, yeah, you
Yeah,
gotta do it.
I mean, it's just, and I wonder if angels help with puns, because what you shared
Hey,
with me in the pre-interview about how at a young age you connected with your support team, your angels,
mhm.
and I was so happy you shared that with me, because like sometimes my family's like, how do you come up with these so quick? And I'm like, I'm wondering if there's like a pun angel that helps me come up with these zippy puns. And then when you said that, I was like, maybe that's a real thing. What do you think?
I do think life happens and we give it meaning, yet you can develop intuition. I think intuition is a skill. You find what you're looking for. And if you are looking for the joy in the moment or you're looking for the creativity with words, I think it can come to you. I say more easily, but it's a skill. It's a muscle. If you develop being punny, yeah, you're gonna find humor in it. Yeah.
I know my dad is really good at it too. So I think
Hey,
it's a way I honor my father is to come up with funny puns or tell him. I was at the grocery store the other day, and I don't even know why the produce guy said it, but I was like, oh, they have these Athena cantaloupes, and they're so delicious. Like, I love when the Athenas are in season. And I was like, oh, man, these are great. And he's like, what would your honey do if you cantaloupe? That's
no,
what he
he
said.
he totally meant to do that, right? Yeah. What would your honey do
Yeah,
if
it's
you
a part.
candylope? Oh yeah, yeah,
And I was like, you see me, like, and it's so funny. I guess it's part of the energy you put out is what
yeah,
comes back to you. Like you said, you become a transmitter. You're
yeah.
receiving and you're
You are
transmitting.
literally a messenger, and that's what an angel is. I'm a messenger. Yeah.
I love that.
I'm a lover of words, and transmit mit comes from the same as messenger or missionary. It means to send. Yeah.
Hmm. Well, I hope we can send parents like hope and inspiration, because we're talking about preteens today, and the challenges with being you know the like navigating the transitions between
Mm.
the child and the identity that's forming as the young adult. And so I adore this time, and it's so awkward, it's so raw, like things can swirl out of control really fast. So you've been in this space, and you've been helping, and I was on your website, and it's such a great resource. But would you share your lens of relationships bringing forth intimate greatness or innate greatness? I'm sorry, like, let me restate that because I want to
You're
make
good.
it clear.
Mhm.
Can you share how the lens of relationships help bring forth innate greatness in humans? And like, how can we start to model that for our kids? Because I think if you, it's all about, like you said, your intention. It's like what you're looking for is what's going to show up. So if you show up as, I'm going to bring forth greatness in my child through the lens
Hey,
of our relationship, like,
yeah,
wow. But how did you come about that? It's so cool.
yeah. Wow, I love whenever you put a good word out there and then it comes back to you and it's like, yeah, I never thought about it like that. To answer you, the preteen years are, I call the first identity breaking years. And life is continually about breaking our identity that we might put it back together so we can answer the question, who are you? I am, right? In ancient times at the Delphi, they would say, know thyself and you'll understand the secrets of gods and men. And the way you know yourself is through the breaking. Life breaks us all, and then some are made stronger in the broken places. Now, man, a Rumi quote just came to mind. It said, if we avoid everything that rubs us the wrong way, however will we shine? And what it is at this first identity breaking up of our kids, if we stay present and we know how to help usher them through it, knowing what to expect and how to meet them and support them in their needs, we can bring forth, as we said, their innate greatness. I believe there's greatness in there. I believe there's beauty in there. As a teacher, we create the context for learning to take place. So we create the context for them to express themselves. And in doing that, we can get into it as we get into the framework, but you're speaking to their virtues and values that are in there with them. And you're establishing that identity. It all starts with a strong identity. So that's the work that I do. And I say that's the work that I do, but I think that is what human development is. I just focus on this age. I say what I do is, it is life coaching and one-to-one personal development, but I'm using the thing that's most relevant to the parent, which is your child.
The
And
relationship with
as,
our child.
yeah, and life is about relationships, right?
Hmm.
Hey, mom,
And
my mom is over here. Right when I said that.
she's like, I'm so proud of my boy. He's such a good kid.
She's smiling and she knows I'm on a podcast. She's like, it's all right. It's okay.
It's
Yeah.
life of love. We go with the flow. It's life of love. That is so crazy that you said that. Those were the words, because my next thing that I was going to talk to you about was, what are the core values that drive deeper relationships? Like, do you see a trend? Like, I mean, if you're going to focus on, you could say values, and it seems like this big thing out in the sky, but do you
Mm-hmm.
see a trend of the core values that you could like use as a little bit of a roadmap or a cheat sheet, just so that people can like sort of start exploring around in there?
Sure, sure. To make it actionable, right? So there's VIA. If your audience not familiar, I'll explain it real quick. Virtues in action. This comes from positive psychology, and these are actually 24 characteristic traits that are with all people, all religions, all cultures. It's from ancient knowledge up until even modern day science. Things such as bravery, leadership, gratitude, we talked about earlier, perseverance, and so on. So those are virtues. And really what virtues are things that work towards the well-being of society or the well-being of an individual. They work towards well-being, right? Now then there are values. Values are what's important to you. Every entity, every person, everything has a value. Like when I say a value, I mean what's important to them. For some people, it's finances. Other people, it might be family, might be their faith. Now, when you meet someone, I'm constantly virtue spotting. I'm looking for your virtues. And then I couple that with what's important to you, your values, and I'm speaking to that, which means I'm cultivating it, I'm nurturing it. In our interaction, I'm actively saying, yeah, this is what I'm noticing, because people move towards your expectations. And that's what I say. I see you, your identity, and I'm making space for it, for your expression. And that's how it starts with a strong identity, because I've seen my identity. I'm secure in it. I'm stable with it. And I know that I make space for your identity. Yeah.
I love that because you have to go into yourself and say, well, where am I coming from, so that you can be a foundation for that other person. And in this situation, it's a child breaking their identity, and just the idea that you understand that that's part of this transition is to test their identity, to explore different options, and knowing that it's okay, and being there to support them. But then I love the idea that you have your virtues and your values are setting boundaries for that child, because whoa, I learned early on as a parent, like if
Mm-hmm.
I didn't set boundaries, it was going to get so
Yeah.
messy, because then I might get
Yeah.
like you can ignore something for so long, and then you're just
Mm-hmm.
going to like, I shouldn't say I would like just lose it, and it would be over like a stupid thing, like it
Yeah.
wouldn't
Yeah.
even, like it didn't even matter to my value system. It's just that I had ignored my boundaries around my values and my self-respect for so long that I was just like, well, why would you do that? You know what I mean? It's
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
total overreaction to just something a kid might do, because the boundaries weren't there. And
Mm.
how easy is it to, like, you always talk about when you're in the airplane and
Mm-hmm.
the pilot has the course, and it's
Mm-hmm.
little adjustments over the course of the flight, versus
Yeah.
you don't go the wrong direction for 200 miles and then cut back. Like you just make little adjustments, so you're not
Yeah.
wasting gas, you're not wasting your time, you're not, you know, frying out your nervous system trying to, if you ignore something, recovering is so much harder. So I
Mm.
love these tidbits of the foundation to keep you on course.
To extend your metaphor, or to add something that you, if I could add some more,
Of course, yeah.
in order to keep course, you have to know where you're going, have a clear destination. And that said, like parents, our clear destination is interdependence. That's what we spoke about earlier. So our kids, they're born dependent, or dependent on us to meet their needs. And then they eventually move to that point, you've experienced it twice, where they have to gain their independence to understand how they might meet their own needs. But then the final form of what we have in society is interdependence. That is, I'm capable of meeting my needs, and I will contribute to help you meet yours. Like I will take care of me to be in service to you, if you can take care of you to be in service to me. And interdependence is what we're leading to. Now, if that's our final destination, we just have to keep on making those course corrections through those adolescent years.
Yeah, and like there in your website, it's so clear. It's like the breaking of identity, the trust.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going from memory. This isn't in my notes. The
You're
trust
good.
issues, and then the emotional, like, roller
Yeah.
coasters of what the child is going through. And it's such a tender time, and it's such an opportunity to share, like, when I was, it's not to be like when I was your age, but just to be like, yeah, something I struggled with was, I used
Mm.
to break out and have huge pimples all over, like, I get it. Like, your hormones are going crazy. And when my older son was like going through his time of big hormones, my younger son would be like, Mom, it's the hormones. And we'd just be like, we just got to ride this out because it's just the hormone, or
So we just
hormonies. He called them the
the
hormonies.
harmonies.
And then you go harmony, and it's close to harmony. We'll get back to harmony. It's just the hormonies.
A little bit of discord at the moment.
Or
But
just
you
a
know,
little off tune.
that's where you get jazz from, man. That's where it gets interesting, You got to throw something in there to throw them off.
You gotta perk up the ears, and it's just such a beautiful journey. And would you shine some light on the
Mhm.
trust part? Like, how can you build trust in your preteen and maintain it, that they know that you're not judging them, because everybody's judging them.
Mm,
They're getting grades. They're trying, some kids are trying to get into a good high school, and in middle
mhm.
school is when like grades start to count, and there's a lot of comparison.
Yeah.
It's just really hard. Their voices are cracking. There's just so much going on.
Yeah, yeah. You know, even before jumping onto the trust part, and I will answer that.
Yeah.
Speaking about the hormones, the highs feel high and the lows feel lower, and that's that's actually plus what they're doing in adolescence. If you remember what the role or the purpose of adolescence is so that they can try out new things, they can take risks,
Mhm.
healthy risks can be, right? To figure out who they are. And in doing that, they have to be more sensitive to what is, see if it's safe, to see if it's secure, and so on. So you want heightened hormones, or not hormones, you want heightened sensitivity and awareness of emotions, because emotions tell us what to pursue, and they give us an indication of what's our internal state to our external. So you want heightened hormones. So it makes sense. It's like, yeah, I get it. And when you explain that to a person, they're finding like, it's not just hormones and a write-off. It's like, no, it is a dump of dopamine for a reason, and this is the reason why.
And we're just designed so perfectly.
Hey,
Everything has a reason.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. To trust, how do we build trust? Ideally, if you do it right, that's a high bar to measure. First of all, you will not do it perfect. I know that for sure. You will do it. There will be bumps and bruises along the way, and that actually adds to the growth. That's what I will say.
Yeah, it gives compassion, right? Like when you could
Yes.
say, "My gosh, I messed up so bad," and I'll even say it to my 21-year-old. I'll be like, "I can't believe that, we used to do
Like,
this, right?
you didn't
Whatever."
know
And
what
like,
you didn't know.
yeah, we didn't know, and it's like, but everything works out because there's this foundation of love, and you come
Mm.
back to, what's best for you, what's best for our family, what are our values. But yeah, and then you look at blended families too, like step
Mm-hmm.
parents, and like
Yeah.
that, there's no 3, 4, 5, and 6-year-old bonding time to like fall
Mm.
back on, usually, if the family's been blended when they're in this state, in this phase. And gosh, I just have such empathy for blended families, and trying to get through every day with these with these challenges, and to build trust in a short amount of time. And is it
So
intuition? Can you use those hormones to benefit you when you're in a situation like that? Have you seen that go both ways?
you touched on two things in regards to trust. Trust has three characteristics or three pillars. Um, First is, well, one of them is rather well-being. I have to know that you're acting for my well-being. I won't trust you unless I know that, yeah, what you're doing is actually for my well-being. So I
Mm-hmm.
love how you said with you and your son, you're just like, yeah, you have to come back to that loving space. The second thing about trust is it has to start with truth. You have to know that this person is being authentic, right? They're not being deceptive or they're not lying. So they're telling the truth. There's well-being there. And then the third is it makes sense. It when
Even
you
if they
connect
don't
the
like
dots.
it, like, you don't have to be popular. You never said in here, as long as you're a best friend, or as long as they're happy all the time. I didn't hear any of that.
Nope,
So let's break that
exactly.
paradigm that everything has to be happy and like best friendy.
No, yeah, I won't call it tough love, but some rules and regulations are there in place to say, well, we need an understanding of what happens if the rules and regulations are there to keep us in alignment with our values. And then if we go out of them, what follows? That's consequence. The natural following of something means with the following consequence. That said, if these rules make sense and they're not just arbitrary, that can build trust. And that's a whole deeper. idea.
So you're
Mhm.
saying giving a child a consequence, saying, hey, you made this choice and, this is your consequence, that can actually build trust because then they know that you're going to be consistent and that you care enough to give them a consequence.
I'll give you one deeper, Julie.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to move towards autonomy, and there is an approach to parenting called autonomy supportive parenting. And really, one way to build trust is by giving trust to the kid to say, I trust you in being autonomous, and I support you in that. So let's figure out these rules and consequences together. Now, as the parent, you still set the tone, you set the vibe, you're the adult in the room. But when you invite them into the process, because remember, 0 to, let's say, 8, 9, 10, you're the manager. You're setting up play dates. You are keeping them safe in a sense, or you're keeping them secure, soothed, and so on. But now you're moving towards the guide on the side. You're moving to the coaching role. And in order to move into the coaching role, you have to allow space for them to be autonomous and support them in that autonomy. Now that looks different for each child, yeah? But it's still with the intention, I need you to try this on your own. And I need you to fall. And this is what happens when people fall.
And it's
Now,
okay. It's okay to fall short.
well, it's part of the process. Yeah.
It's how you get up and you shine. Like you said, you can't shine
Hey,
unless you get a little roughed up.
and to your point about blended families, yeah, trust is built over time. There are ways to amplify it or speed it up. I mean, it depends on the context, just like plants or things that grow. You need time. You need time for things to grow.
Yeah, and it's worth it. I mean, it's
Hey,
it's not random if somebody's in your field, and so I'm just cheering for everyone who's struggling with building trust with a child, and I'm just letting you know from my heart that it's worth it. It's worth it because it will make your family stronger, it'll make your community stronger, it makes our world a better place to have these relationships. And if a child hasn't been used to having a strong relationship for whatever reason, maybe there was conflict, what an opportunity to show them what could be.
yeah.
And it like this kind of thing changes the world. I'm not minimizing the role of these relationships at all. It's not just to get through your life easier or to have, get to the next step. This is about enriching our world. It's so
Hey,
exciting.
you know, I say in the work that I do, it is about keeping you integrated or keeping you together, keeping your stuff together. Stuff is not necessarily the S word I use, it, keeping your stuff together.
Hmm.
And in doing so, other people or other things may go waywardly. But if you keep your stuff together and you're consistent and you're present, that's what you're asked to do. And that's how you set the tone. You are a trustworthy present parent. Because, I don't know, it could be 2 weeks, it could be 2 years, it could be 2 decades. But as long as you are integrated in keeping your stuff together, and you will be thrown off course, you reach your equilibrium. But what you're asked to do is you're asked to keep your stuff together. So yeah, I work with the individual first to set the tone.
And that's how you become a better human is knowing yourself and getting yourself in alignment and knowing when your buttons might be getting pushed and finding some resource so that you can keep it together. And I can relate. There's been times where I'm like, I give up, you win. Like I'm not staying in this anymore. Like I can't, this isn't good for me. I'm not gonna fight this fight. It just doesn't make any sense. Like,
Pick and choose your
and
battles.
sometimes it's just like, okay. And it's when you unturn or unwind that hairball
Mm,
and you just say, what's the most important is I love you no matter what. And
Love is at the core.
you're gonna have consequences if like I might not make a delicious dinner for you if you stress me out from fighting, but I still love you.
That's not necessarily consequences, but okay.
It is a result because I can tell you
It's a
Julie's
result, but
cooking is not good when she's upset.
little bit too salty or a little overcooked, but it's all
Yeah.
right.
My goodness. It's such a lens to grow yourself through your children, and
Mm.
who knows how to push your buttons better than someone who shares your DNA.
They say the
And
person who knows your insecurities the most is yourself. The person who knows it the second best is your children.
is your children.
Oh man, that's for
It's
sure.
it's so beautiful. Well, gosh, we're coming up on our end of our time here today, but I wanted you to be able to
Yeah,
share. You
yeah,
have lots of things coming, and this is going to be published like mid-fall. So, in
yeah.
relation to that, where will you be with your website and what you have coming down the pipe? I'm excited for you to share.
Yeah. There are two workshops I'm working on right now. So I do have the Show Up framework, which is a year-long course in three phases. The first 3 months are information. After that, it's implementation for the next 3 months, and then continued support for the whole year. So you can be a part of the community. And in the Show Up framework, it starts with a strong identity. I'm working with the parent to establish their identity with their virtues and values. H is holding space for collaboration, strategies and frameworks in which kids often say, "What's wrong with me?" when they're experiencing breaking. But it's like, hey, nothing's wrong with you. You're growing up. Let's collaboratively solve this problem. And then O is opening up communication. Quality of your communication is directly related to the quality of your life. So that's your ability to talk with others and your ability to talk with yourself. Yeah. And then W is wonder and explore this world together. It's called project-based living. It means doing long, hard things, self-directed for a long time, and you're doing it with your kids, so you have something to talk about, right? And then UP is
That's so
unveiling your potential.
beautiful. You is what? Unlimited
UP,
potential? Oh, UP.
unveil your potential. It's
Unveil. Okay.
celebrating. We don't celebrate enough, so it means
We
gathering together
don't.
to honor. Yeah.
And I love that part of curiosity. Like anyone who listens to my show, I'm always talking about be curious, get your innocence back. Like, and what a better
Mm,
way to remember how it used to be than to encourage your kids to be curious and live it through their eyes a little bit and
yeah.
just get it. It's just such a great thing because sometimes we want to spend quality time with our children and our family, but we're really not sure
Mhm.
what to do. So
Mm.
this is a really nice, I mean, game night's awesome. Picking a movie that's not really family time. That's just coexisting. So,
Yeah. Well, it could
these
be passive.
adventures.
You could, so it could be passive, right? Just
Mhm.
watching a movie, but then you could make it active by actually having conversation about the characters and what it actually means. The beautiful thing about learning, I am an educator in the background, bring it back to relevancy to the person. So like what's important for them, but then also making it relevant to say, how's this going to help you? What actions are you going to take based on this? And then also giving them an insight into you because kids are trying to learn about the world. Talk about who you were when you were their age, what you did and what you went through. So
Yeah, and
yeah,
then
yeah,
if you can share your vulnerability, they might be more likely to say, "Mom, this is what
you're
happened,"
human.
or
Mhm.
"Dad, I'm struggling with this," and just to be there for them,
Yeah.
because I think more than anything, they just not need to know that they have a soft landing because the world can be so cold and so reactive that, if
Mm,
just the intention of your home being a safe place and a place of respect and mutual admiration, but like you, that line of I'm not your best friend, but I'm unconditionally loving of you because
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's a line. Hmm.
They know what to expect because again, you're a trustworthy present parent. And I say I respect the wisdom of the parent in that it's going to be expressed many different ways. I will share with you what I've seen work, and as I get to know your values, I can help you give perspective for what's in alignment with you. And I respect your wisdom. Everything that I speak to you about how you do it with the kid, I interact with you the same way.
So
If
it's a
you're a client,
dynamic, and this isn't a something you just passively watch and learn. This is an interactive course, so I can
yeah,
feel that. What a life changing thing, and maybe it'll change all the relationships in your life, not just through your children.
Back to what you were saying though about, yeah, actually, yeah. The whole point is to change the way you show up in the world. And then as you relate with the world, you'll see it through a new lens.
Well, it's just so beautiful.
I was going to say on the site, there will be, if this is released in the fall, two workshops I'm working on is mapping out your family's virtues and values. So it's collective identity, right? People like us do things like this. That's what culture is. So it's mapping out your family culture. And then the second one is how to nurture your child's potential in the digital age. Because the digital age is actually, there are particular problems for this generation we noticed since 2020. And using insight from the book, The Anxious Years, or The Anxious Generation. That's a book worth reading if you're a parent. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for that tip. I know it's a definite concern, and just being aware that it's a thing is huge. So, and that book sounds like a great resource for navigating it all.
Yeah.
My goodness. Well, thank you so much. This has been such a delight.
It's been a pleasure, Julie. From before you hit record until I assume after, I've loved your smile and your presence and your aura, and thank you for all of this. Yeah.
Thank you.